from HoopSisters, and today I'm going to show you how to do one of our embroidered blocks for our goose tracks. What you will need is you will need a 9-inch square of your background fabric, a 9-inch square of your backing fabric, and a piece of battleizer that's large enough to fit in your hoop. And you will also need a water-soluble thread, and you will need 3 different embroidery threads with matching bobbins, and then another one which is my vine color. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and hoop your battleizer. And it is optional if you decide that you want to use the rubber shelf liner. If there's any shifting that goes around in your hoop, you can certainly do that. But let me get it hooped and then I'll meet you at the machine and we'll start stitching. To do our embroidered block, the first thing you're going to do is put your water-soluble thread in the needle, and then for the bobbin thread you're going to use the thread that you're going to use for step number 3. So I already have that in the needle, and what the machine will do for the first step is it's going to sew a placement stitch. Now the placement stitch, you don't have to have the water-soluble thread in there for this step, but again it just kind of avoids a thread change for later. And we do a placement stitch because sometimes, like for instance, I'm using an 8-inch square hoop. If you're using a hoop that's a rectangular hoop and that's a little larger, you're going to need to know where to place your fabric, so that's what this placement stitch will do. The next step is we're going to take our hoop off the machine and flip it over. We're going to take our backing fabric, and I've already sprayed the back of it with some temporary spray adhesive, and you're going to apply it to the back of your hoop, centering it over that placement stitch. Okay, now we're back at the machine. I have my backing fabric on the back. I already checked to make sure it's in there nice and smoothly. My background fabric I'm going to lay inside the hoop, and you'll need to make sure it's evenly placed over the placement stitching. And I still have my water-soluble thread in the needle, and it's going to do the same stitch around the perimeter of your block. And we're using water-soluble thread so that when you sew your blocks together, if that stitching happens to be sticking out, a little water will take care of that problem. And then we can start our embroidery in just a minute. The next few steps are going to be just thread changes, just as though you were doing a regular embroidery. I would recommend, since we do have our backing fabric on, that you turn your automatic thread cutter off if you have one on your machine. And to begin your stitching, do needle down and needle up and pull your bobbin thread to the top. And then you can take a few stitches and then go ahead and clip the thread tails that are on the top. And let it continue to do the embroidery, and you'll complete this until you have all your different embroidery thread color changes all finished. Here is the front of this block, and the back side looks just as beautiful as the front.